Sippages. The last couple of weeks, I've been getting a little parched. They've been getting a little to the throat, to the throat. So I decided tonight that it was imperative. It was absolutely imperative that I bring some sippages to the table. Um, I don't know, folks. I don't know. We're getting down to the wire. Where you at? I see one people up, one people up, one people up, two people up, four people up. Give me some thumbs up. You show me some love. You know what your man like. Come on in here now. We got stuff to talk about. This is gonna be the last time we talk before this blues. Um, it's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. But then again, but then again, but then again, I say, look, I see you there. Go ahead and show me some. There you go. Man, y'all act like y'all don't understand the assignment. We ain't new to this. We true to this. Show up, and show out. That's what I want to see. My old classmate from way back, way back, way back. We come a long way, folks, both figuratively and literally. We've been at this for what it seems like 6 years now, and I got good news and bad news. I got good news and bad news. I got good news and bad news. It's Pinky in the brain. It's so what are we gonna do tonight? Uh, Try to inform the masses of what the hell is going on, Pinky. Um, it's kind of cool up in here, baby. It's kind of cool. We coming down to the wire. Nothing left to say. I will say this: if you got a chance to I just want to take over this election. That's what I want. One step at a time. One step at a time. Man, I needed that. I slowed down on my sippages, on my libation, on my bourbon. You guys know I kind of like my bougie bourbon, so I'm good to flaunt. Have to clean my. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Have to clean my camera a little bit. Oh man, I blew that up. My mic sounds nice. Check one. My mic sounds nice. Check two. How is everybody doing? Oh man, you and me both. So one of my closest friends in Georgia said that this thing has stress in, and I'm like, yeah, you and me both. Um, and that's something gonna kind of touch on later. I'm gonna try to make some kind of. You guys gonna have to help me out. And I put questions up. I'm asking because I don't want to always listen to the prognosticators, the talking heads, and the political pundits. I want to talk to real people. And since most of my friends, most of my followers, most of the people that, for lack of a better word, get me and that I get, not that we always share the same thoughts, but I think we're of one mind when it comes to what we're looking for in leadership, especially, and then for what I say generations to come. Because I always make a big deal about, you know, um, most of us that's online now, we're, but I said we've got more days behind than we have ahead. So closer, my God, to thee, we need to be getting things together. And it's all about legacy. What are you going to leave for those that follow you? Be it your own kids, grandkids, and what have you. Hey, hey, hey. Come on in. Show me some kisses. Show me some thumbs up. Show me some love. What's up? Get me hyped. I'm already psyched, but I need to be hyped. You know what I mean? So drop in, say hello, show out, show up, show out. You know the deal. You get the assignment. We ain't new to this. We true to this. So let's make it happen, people. I've got two past a half. I'm gonna give it about 3 more minutes for some of you folks to get off the short school bus. Put your helmets on. Don't put gum under my seats. Find your seat. You know what I mean? Come on in. Get down. Get up. Get down. And let's do this. So I'm just kind of making a little small talk as we go along, um, just to see where we headed, just to see where your head is, just to see basically what we're gonna do. So with that being said, I usually have a song or two in my head, but for whatever reason, um, tonight I'm not. I don't have a song. I don't have a thing. You know, I'm hyped. I'm just hyped. Feel like a little Stevie. I'm too high, too high. Um, so I guess what it comes down to is what you guys are feeling, because I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it. Um, we put so much of our selves. I put so much of myself in trying to educate the masses and trying to bring some people along. Um, that's a good one. People get ready. So, ooh, she went way back. That's that old Curtis Mayfield. My music repertoire is off the scale. Let me just tell you that. People get ready. There's a train coming. Don't need no ticket. You just get on board. Wow, that's a jam. That was a jam. When I hear that, it makes me think of this, and it's funny because I was singing it earlier. This little five stair step. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. And I said that might not be the right song because this thing is so close, it's too close to call. And that's why I didn't want to listen to them. I wanted to hear what you had to say because you guys are going to be the deciding factor. You guys are going to be the ones who decide whether you show up at the polls. Here in Florida, we've got a couple of days left. Today is the third. We've got up to the fifth to get our early voting done. So wherever you are, find out. You may have a couple of days going to vote as well, as far as early voting is concerned. So I said it before. I'm gonna say it again. Get out early so that if you find out, call the polls, find out what you need for as IDs are concerned and identification and do you need a dragon's tooth, a shark fin or whatever you need. So your first time going early, you might have to do a drive-by because depending on where you are, they are definitely trying to suppress the vote. So let's not do it for them. Again, let's show up and show out. Let's make our voices heard. We got about six past the half, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. I want to say good evening, and welcome to the show. As always, I start my show off by saying thank you, thank you for spending your Thursday nights with me. Of all the things that you could be doing, you choose to be here with me, and for that, I say, and I mean from the bottom of my heart, I'm truly humbled. My name is Hank Batiste. The name of my show is called Omit the Logic. This shit makes no sense. I am utterly perplexed. I'm excited. I'm psyched and I'm scared to my wits' end. The voices in my head are screaming to the top of their subliminal volume. The decibels are just shattering in my head. They say time and time again, we've got 5 days before we decide which country, which way. I was going to say what country we want to live in, but I'll just say which way we want this country to go. So I'll change that up. Um, we've got about 5 states that everybody's talking about, and I think it's all honestly, this thing is so close. And the reason I keep saying, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it ad nauseum, show up and show out. The reason that's so important because when we look at the polls, and I don't follow the polls because if polls are not empirical, they're not unbiased, they're not non-biased, they're very biased. Because if I poll a group of people, a chosen group of people, I can get the results that I want to get. And the flip side of that, some people, especially people of color, they feel trepidation about putting their feelings out there. They feel like we're still back in the time, like if they speak out, they're going to be dragged out of their beds by men and white sheets in the depth of night. You know what I mean? So I don't listen to polls, and I don't want you to listen to polls. I don't want you to get this thing into your head that it's a foregone conclusion that we're already going to lose and don't show up because then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I'm saying? So let's be positive, let's stay focused, let's get it done. Let's get up, get down, get funky, get loose, as Petty used to say. So like I said, I am so psyched, I'm so hyped. I want to see this done. To be honest with you, I listen to some people talk, and I do so by not interjecting anything because I don't want people to start performing based on the audience, so to speak. And I hear people say that this is the most important election of our lifetime. And I say, depending on your age, you may be right. And then I heard somebody else say that every election is the most important election. And I say, I somewhat agree with that. But what makes this election so important, I said it before and I'm going to say it one more time. What happens in 5 days is going to directly shape how we live for the next 6 years, certainly. And its reverberations, if we think of that proverbial pebble being dropped, this pebble is a boulder. So those waves are not ripples. They're going to be almost like tidal waves. And we're going to see the reversal of so many things that we've come to take for granted. Because, truth be told, we haven't fought for them. Our elders fought for them. Our ancestors died for them, and so forth and so on. So sometimes it's like giving a kid a car. When you give somebody something, they don't appreciate it because they got it too easily. But when they have to work for it themselves, it means something and they take better care of it. So if we teach our children now the importance of this, because they don't have a relationship with the 60s or the 70s. So what we tell them is ancient history. We might as well be telling them about the dinosaurs. We might as well be telling them, you know, about medieval times. They have a better chance of understanding, the House of Dragons because it's something they can see. And almost the way it's portrayed, the way it's acted out, they can feel it. But when we talk about somebody who had a dream and the sacrifices that they made, when we talk about Malcolm saying, by any means necessary, it may strike a chord, but it doesn't resonate with them the same way it resonates with us. So let me just kind of break all of that down. It's up to us to ensure. that they have a personal history, if you will, with some of this before the things that they take for granted and we've come to take for granted becomes their immediate history. One thing we already know about is abortion. But because certain states have taken it upon themselves to try to fight back, they figure that was easy. But the truth of the matter, what happens in the next 5 days can have national repercussions far as abortion is concerned. Who gets the House and who gets the Senate? Who becomes the governor of Pennsylvania and Georgia and Arizona and these places? It's going to have a direct impact on whether those states have sovereignty in deciding abortion. Who gets to control the Senate, who gets to control the House is going to have a direct impact on the federal, what I call beating of the brow or bullying, as to what 50 states do. Not just with Roe v. Wade, because that's history now. That's a history that they heard about, but they don't know what it's like. They're not over 50 years old, so they don't know what it's like for a woman to have a backroom abortion. And the thing that I hold the media accountable for is there are women right now who are serving time, who are in jail simply because they had an abortion. There are doctors who are being sued as we speak right now because they performed an abortion that saved that same woman's life. But we don't hear about that. So even we don't we don't know how to deal with it because we're so busy watching. All we see on TikTok is somebody shaking their butt or showing off their body. And trust me, I love the hell out of a woman's body. But there are things that are more important, especially now. So with me, without me going off on a tangent, and it's a little late for me to say that, um, I've been watching and I want to see what you think. And these are the questions that I've been asking. So thank you for giving me that feedback. Um, women, a lot of women are upset over the loss of abortion, their right to an abortion without fear of prosecution. But America has a very, very short memory. This happened back in May, June. Now we're in November. And people adjust to things so easily. So they think whatever happens on November the 8th, we'll just adjust because it's beyond our control. No, it's not. So let's do something about it. Tonight's show is supposed to be called Midterms. 5 days, you decide. My name is Hank Batiste. This is OMITDALOGIC. This shit makes no sense, but let's make it make sense. Moving on. Um, there are a few things that's going to happen on November the 9th. Two things are certain. If the Republicans win, the Trump Publicans win, the Trump disciples win, they're going to start shutting down everything. If they lose, stand by for all of these challenges. But by the same token, and President Biden was talking about this, we've already seen this uptick of violence as a result of what's happening. We see the despicable, the delusional, orange one back on the campaign trail, stirring up this hate and telling his minions to stand by. So we can see that. We know what's going to happen. So just stand by, be ready. Watch your back. Ladies, I'm going to say this 1,000 times. I got 3 daughters. Get your gas early enough during the day when you're not out there after dark by yourself, when you're the only one at the gas pump. And I saw the only TikTok that made sense to me was this woman standing by, I guess she had a Mercedes, and these little knuckleheads came up and she saw this carjacking about to go on. And she pulled a nozzle out of the gas tank and she started to spray towards them. Then she jumped in the window on her passenger side and got in a car. So you got to be cognizant of what's going on around you. Because once lawlessness becomes the order of the day, those people are going to make it a field day, whether they have anything to do with the election or not. There'll be carte blanche for this whole, what I call, ignoramuses. So 2 things are going to happen. If the Trump disciples win, they're going to start shutting down and they're going to start exerting their power. If they lose, they're going to start challenging every election, saying that it was fixed and so forth and so on. So there's going to be some fallout. If they win, stand by, because there's going to be an immediate shift from midterms to talking about 2024. And if you've not had enough of the delusional, despicable one, stand by, because he's already on a campaign trail. Those that choose to oppose him, I hope they have the cojones, the intestinal and testicular fortitude to stand up and challenge him. Moving on. If the Dems win, what's going to happen? We're going to hear more about January the 6th. It bewilders my mind that this late in the game, they're just talking to the Secret Service men, those that were protecting Trump. We're going to have an immediate fight because Nancy will not want to relinquish that gavel. She's profited economically. She's created this sense of pity surrounding her and her husband. But the thing that I find particularly strange, you and I are average people. And I promise you that my security system would inform me if some idiot was coming up on my property. And I'm a thousandaire. They're multi-hundred millionaires. Not only that, but her husband has been having these dealings with some people who really don't like him. So just being devil's advocate, they say this is all about Nancy. But I say Paul Pelosi has to share some of the blame himself. And that's all I got to say about that. Before I move on, let me just make it explicitly clear. I don't condone what happened to him. I'm not a Nancy Pelosi fan because I think she's pimped the role of being Speaker of the House, being third in line to the president's chair. It's time for some, new blood. No pun intended. It's time for some new leadership. That's all I got to say about that. Let's move on. If the Dems win, got to deal with Pelosi. What we have to do, and here's the other part of this, we think after an election is over, now's the time to just relax and move on. Always say, let's take a page from the Trump disciple playbook. And I always wonder, what is it that's being said to them that keeps them so energized and engaged? Why are they so tenacious when we have more to lose than they do? And then when I ask that question, I have to ask the flip side of that. If they're so tenacious, why are we so lackadaisical? I'll wait. It wasn't a rhetorical question. I want you to think about it, but I want you to hit me back with it. You don't have to answer now. Why are we so lackadaisical when it comes to what we call democracy and how we live being threatened? They seem to be perpetually tenacious. And I know I'm trying to get away from this vocabulary, make things simple, but this is real. Perpetually tenacious. They never stop. They put the Energizer Bunny to shame because they just do not stop. But yet, as soon as we get 3 ounces of hearing about abortion, of voting rights, or inflation, we go off on a tangent and we say, I had enough. That's why I'm not into politics. And that's why I don't do this. And that's why I don't vote. Well, if your vote did not count, why are they trying so hard to suppress you, to stop you? And why are they trying so hard to make sure that each and every one of their minions and disciples show up to the polls? Again, I'll wait. I'm tired of the crickets, folks. If the Dems take the Senate again, and I think they're going to increase the Senate, their majority in the Senate, and that'll be a good thing because then Sinema and Manchin become non-entities. Manchin is going to go whatever way the power is going. Manchin shot his shot because it being a 50th vote gave him a certain amount of power, press time, mic time. Because before all of this, nobody knew who the senator of West Virginia was until his voice and his vote became important. So as we increase the majority, his voice becomes more and more silent. And then we can start moving towards something more progressive. But say what you will, ladies, and I've said it before, I'm tired of my sisters jumping on a bandwagon every time they feel there's a threat to any woman. But I'm saying when it's the threat to you as a woman of color, you stand alone. So when we take over the House again, first thing we have to do is insist on new leadership and it not be Nancy Pelosi. I said what I said. I meant what I said. Nothing made me angrier. I'm going to just dive for just a moment. I got to go off on this tangent. And I promised myself I wasn't going to get upset tonight. Okay, let me just take me a little sip. I promised myself I wasn't going to get excited tonight. I promised myself I was going to keep it together. But I don't care whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or a Klingon for that matter. If you're doing wrong, I'm going to say you're doing wrong because that's what accountability is. Just because you're my friend does not mean that I allow you to do something other than what's right. In 2012, President Obama passed what's called the Stock Act. And I told you guys about this. It made it illegal for sitting members of Congress, their friends and family, to invest in stocks on Wall Street because they have an unfair advantage. They sit in a place where they can draw policy and rules that's going to financially impact them and increase their financial worth. And this is what Nancy and Paul Pelosi has done, and so many others. So we have to insist. I don't want to hear the argument that Trump did it because one of the reasons we wanted to get rid of him so that we could start doing better. So, ladies, pick your battles. That's all I got to say about that. When the Dems win, we want to see an increase in things like funding. We want to see some laws passed because this is what the other thing that I hold Pelosi accountable for. The George Floyd Act and police reform, it fell by the wayside. The John Lewis Act and Voting Rights Act, it fell by the wayside. So we need leadership to make sure that those two things happen. Then we need leadership to show up to make sure things like things for seniors, Social Security, Medicare, things for families like Head Start, making sure that these kids have something to eat and books so that money goes to public schools, not just hand-picked charter schools, and scholarships for parochial and private schools. We need to make sure that there's equity, not equality, but equity across the board. We need to make sure that things like for veterans, this little child pornographer, this little pedophile called Matt Getz, he's talking about doing away with the VA hospital. As many problems as I have with the VA, I see so many who are not like myself, and they don't have any other place to go. So if they can articulate what their needs are at a place that's designed for them for its health care, what chance do they have in dealing with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, a United Health Plan, a Aetna, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? We need to get this party. I'm going to call them our party. Because truth be told, I'm a registered Democrat, but I'm not a Democrat or Republican. As far as policy is concerned, I'm very liberal. As far as accountability is concerned, I'm a staunch conservative. I believe in teaching a man to fish so that he can feed himself. I don't believe in feeding him fish daily and crippling him so he doesn't feel a need to fish for him or herself. So let me make that explicitly clear. Seniors, families, children, veterans, these are the things that one party is fighting for. And these are the four things that we know right off the top of the are going to fall by the wayside if Kevin McCarthy and the rest of the Trump disciples, if Mitch McConnell and the rest of the Trump disciples and the Trump Republicans get a majority. This so-called January 6th, yes, I hold Pelosi accountable for that as well. Why have over 1 million documents? Well, Stevie Wonder could say, Trump needs to be prosecuted. And this man is still a viable candidate for president of the United States. And as a result, we are now facing this domestic upheaval. I call it domestic terrorism. Anytime I have to remind you to watch everything, somebody comes knocking on your door and tell you that, they have a tree trimming service or, they do gutters and what have you, turn them away. Don't even open the door. If you're a licensed carrier, go to the door with it because you never know. Because this is the type of propaganda, this is the mindset of his followers, of his disciples. And all of this has been happening because no one has been holding him and his followers accountable. See, that's the flip side. And unfortunately, that's something that we have to be concerned with, whether they win or not. And sadly, I think it increases when they lose. I didn't say if, I said when they lose. Because the people I know, the people that I care about, the people that listen to the words that's coming out of my mouth, the sound of my voice, I know you're going to show up. I know you're going to show out. And I know this time on November the 8th, this time on November the 9th, we're going to be talking about the seats that we took and the elections that we won. And when they start screaming fake news and it's fixed and what have you, we'll just sit back and smile. It'll be our turn to stand by. And protect not just our democracy, but how we live for ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, by any means necessary. So that's all I got for you tonight, folks. We got 5 days. 5 days. 5 days before we decide, are we going to continue to progress? Because this momentum is slow. Either we're going to finish pushing this little train that could, I think I can, up the hill, or we're going to allow resistance to pull it back. And let's think about this. In 7 days, November the 10th, your man is going to be looking at 6 decades and 3 years to boot. On November the 10th, 2 days after midterms come hell or high water, because the Lord say the same, I'll be 63. So I've done my part, folks, and you're doing yours. Continue to do yours. If you go to the polls, find out how much time you have left on this early voting. Talk to some people, talk to some seniors, talk to some people that don't have transportation, some people that might be sitting on a fence and say, hey, do you know what's going on? Because all they may know about is Senate and government. And they don't know about all of those little amendments that's set there on the ballot and they don't vote on. So if each one teach one so each one can reach one, we're going to show up and show out. And we're going to be smiling on November the 9th. And you can send your man something, cash out me, or just send me a happy birthday. But the biggest gift you can give me is show up on November the 8th. As always, important, before I go, I want to say go to my YouTube. That is right there, OMITDALOGIC. Sign up, subscribe, ring the bell, give me some thumbs up, show me some love, and share it with somebody else. Because this is the kind of thing that needs to be going viral. Not me standing up here and doing this and showing off my. I mean, bro, getting this thing together now. But that's not what I'm here for. You see the silliness. Sometimes I'll come on here and I make these little silly TikToks because I want you to see the human side of me. I need to have those releases because the only thing harder than teaching this to you is having to live it and the possibilities and wake up and go to sleep with those possibilities on my mind. So go to my YouTube, sign up, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with somebody else. Show a brother love. Leave me some positive content. Come back to me with questions. Say, hey, look, I like this, but I ain't get with that. And let's talk about it. That's how we do this. As we say in New Orleans, that's how we do that there. And lastly, as always, I'm partying. I wish you love. I wish you peace. I wish you hair grease. And I'm going to say it one more again. The one thing about this game called life is nobody, but nobody leaves alive. So make it worth something. Make it something that you're willing to die for. Good night, people.